Heaven high. Welcome to Inside of a Miracle. I'm your host, Sheila Martinasky. And last week we were talking about perseverance. And I don't think we really covered it as much as I really want to get into. It's just so much about that. And I came across a story today that I really want to share with you. You might have been aware of it or not, but I wanted to talk again about perseverance. And, last week we talked about how that we can go through the mundane things and the monotony of things, and we can get discouraged and frustrated about what we're dealing with, but that perseverance was a quality that God has given us, that if we can nurture it and grow it, it can cause us to avail to so many wonderful things. We talked about how nature represents perseverance, like water can carve its way through any type of um, terrain. And whether it's years or months or decades, it can go through mountains. I mean, the Grand Canyon in America was formed by water. I mean, it is one of the seven wonders. It is a tourist destination. Water has the power and the ability to be tenacious on getting someplace. You know, it just has to run and has to flow. And because of it, it shows its perseverance. It shows its ability to do the same thing every day. Water does what it does. It is fluid. It has fluidity and it flows. If water meets a block, it'll just keep flowing, just keep hitting that, seeping around it. Eventually it will find cracks, and those cracks will open up, and eventually those cracks dissolve, and they defeat the obstacles. Obstacles, as we said last week, is part of life. It's what we go through. It's what we're going to go through. We live in a world where life is always happening. Things do not go smoothly. We talked about procrastination being the thief of time, that when we continually put off something, it steals our productivity. It steals our time to do something. It robs, it, it debilitates us. It causes us to not achieve what we want to do. And sometimes procrastination is because of fear. We fear that we're just not going to do it. We fear that we've got a problem about it and we don't know how to figure out the problem. So we keep putting it off until we figure out how to do it. Sort of like that. But every day turns into weeks, and weeks turn into months, and months turn into years. Procrastination is not our friend. It is not our friend. We talked about how trees have the ability to persevere in their growth. Rain or shine or tornadoes or whatever type of weather conditions, trees still manage to grow. You can even cut certain trees down. Their limbs can be struck by lightning, but they will morph themselves. I've traveled the world and I've seen trees do amazing things. I saw a tree that it grew up and it was against the wall, so it grew up and it couldn't fan out, so it grew up curved over the wall, curved back up just to grow. It was amazing. I talked about the redwood tree in California, in North America. It is so vast in its base that you can drive a tree through it. They made tunnels just to show you how vast the width is, and that it only grows 2 to 6 feet every year. But in 50 years, it's almost 100 feet tall. Amazing. The Chinese bamboo, how it grows 90 feet in 5 weeks after 5 years of nothing. You plant the bamboo seed and nothing grows at all for 5 years. Once that blade comes up, In the next 5 weeks, you got a 90-foot tree. Perseverance, nature shows us what it means to persevere. I don't really know what's going on in your life. I don't know if you're dreaming of something and not feeling that you can accomplish it, or, you know, sometimes people are just afraid to dream. They just feel like they can't dream anymore because they've had too many disappointments. Is that you? Have you tried something and it didn't work? Have you thought of something and you just thought it was ludicrous, or you never tried it? You know, I remember seeing this poster. Um, I don't know, on Facebook or something like that, and it was about. It had a picture of a tree, had a picture of a little dog, and the caption read, "I know the squirrel ran up this tree." And so the dog is on his paws up at the base of the tree, just looking up at the tree. And then it shows the next caption that says, 3 months later. And the caption says, the dog is saying, I know this squirrel went up this tree. I'm going to wait it out. 3 months later, the dog is still there because he's persevering. Now, obstacles, I can imagine if that was a true thing. He had to deal with the elements. He had to deal with maybe not having any food because he didn't leave the tree, because he didn't want to miss the squirrel that he knew went up that tree. You know, sometimes we just have to be just like that little dog. I know that I can do this. I know I got this idea. I know I can write this patent. I know I can get this job. I have put in 5 jobs a week for a year. Applications on Indeed and every other job place posting there has been, and nothing. Yeah, but do it again, because one more try, or one more try gets you the job that you want. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It's an obstacle. An obstacle course is exactly what it says. It is a course designed for you to go through obstacles. That's how that gift of tenacity that God is giving every person. Look at a baby. A baby has tenacity. It doesn't know how to talk, it doesn't know how to walk, but it will get up and fall down and get up again. You've never met a person who is a walking adult now that failed to get up when they fell as a baby. They kept working at it every day. One step, fall. Next day, 2 steps, fall. Third day, fall, 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 fall. So they crawl the third day. By the 5th day, they've got 6 steps in and they can reach out and grab your hand, and we're just applauding. Eventually, that child learns how to walk, learns how to trot, learns how to skip, learns how to run, learns how to bike, swim, explore the world, because in built in us is the ability to overcome obstacles. We can do it. It is just a matter of a mindset. You might not have that mindset. Life has just not been good for you. It's just not been kind. It's not been pleasurable. I mean, you could probably write a book about it and all be true, and we be aghast at what you've gone through. But look at that. Key word is you've gone through it. You've gone through it. It was rough. It was horrific. It was traumatic. But you've gone through it because you're not in it. It's part of your past, though bleak and horrible or sad or unproductive as it is or was, you have gone through it. Just like that water, it will find a way. You found a way to go through it. And just getting up every morning is a celebration of your perseverance. It is. It's just how you look at it. It's perspective. Doing the same thing over and over and over. Yes, it gets old, dull, frustrating, painfully, uh, excruciating, depressing sometimes. There's some people that haven't gone out of their house in 5, 10 years. I counsel them. They had an experience and they just don't want to go out anymore. But after a while of just talking with them and helping them to see what's in them that they've forgotten or they just could not explore, didn't know where to look. They were looking in all the wrong places for the right gifts. Their success was just going out the door to get the paper at the doorstep. They open the door and they look around and they start to feel this anxiety and they talk to themselves and say, I can do this. And they bend down and they take the paper and then they close the door back. But look, after 5 or 10 years, they have a paper that they never got before. That's a start. You have to start somewhere. We talked about habits, good habits and bad habits. Procrastination is a bad habit. It is not fruitful. Perseverance is a necessary thing. So sometimes when we have habits or things that we do that we just don't want anymore and we want to change, but we just don't know how, you know what you don't want. So if that person, let's take that person for example, who, um, let's say, is someone who is a hoarder and they just keep everything they have because for some reason they don't want to deal with loss. They're afraid to not give away or throw away or organize things because their life is not organized. It is an outward sign of an inward pain. But after talking with them for a while, you can see that they are coming alive. It's like that tree. They realize I can grow. I've been growing whether I'm aware of it or not. I've been living whether I'm aware of it or not. Whether I'm having any understanding that I'm existing. I have been. And you can see them go outside, go to the mailbox, go to the neighbor's house, get in their car that's been sitting there for how long? People's lives do change when they take one step at a time. We can never get over a hurdle without making the step to the hurdle. Okay, you don't know how to jump. That's fine. Let's just walk to the hurdle and walk around it. But at least we got to the hurdle. Sometimes you don't have to jump over obstacles. You just go around them. Sometimes you don't even have to go around them. Sometimes the obstacles go away themselves. Time makes that happen. Perseverance is a necessary ability by God that we need to know how to utilize for the best of our lives. I want to encourage you today that there is not anything that you cannot do. You know, there's a saying, if you think you can, and if you think you cannot, you're right. You're right if you think you can, and you're right if you think you cannot. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So does he become. So does he do. But I believe that every person has a strength that is always untapped, unseen, unvisualized in their lives. And I believe that because of God, because of the power of God in us, we all have a portion of Him. We all have Him in our lives. He's there whether we acknowledge Him or not. He's there whether we talk to Him that day or not. He's there. He's the creator of the universe. Where else is He going to go? He's everywhere at the same time, all the time. There is no place that He is not. Really. Get that. There is no place that He is not. You think He doesn't know what you're dealing with? He does. You think He doesn't see the ups and the downs that you're dealing with? He does. You think He doesn't care about you? He does. Why do you think we're talking about this? It's a mindset. Perseverance is a gift that God has given us. If we can utilize it, it can bring so much reward in our life. Speaking about athletes, I came across this story the other day about a woman. She's a Portuguese woman. Her name is, let me make sure I get this right. Her name is Maria Conceição. Conceição. And she had an amazing story. It just resonated with perseverance. And I wanted to share a little bit of it. She is she's a Portuguese woman who has done some phenomenal exploits with her body, dealing with athletic things. She was a former Emirates airline stewardess, but her background is just phenomenal. She was abandoned and she was adopted by an Angolan refugee who was poor. This woman adopted Maria, brought her to Angola, and she was one of 7 children that this poor refugee, which means she had no home. She's living in a refugee camp herself. But this woman took 7 children, including Maria, and raised them. Maria, they were so poor that Maria went to work early. And you know what her job was? She was a toilet cleaner. Yep. Now, it's not like how we, in other countries, can take a little squidgy and put something in it and wipe out the toilet bowl or, have running water. These are toilets in refugee camps all over Angola. They're like outhouses for thousands of people that is used every day. And Maria cleaned those types of toilets because she said there was something in her that drove her to say she can do better. She can have better. Well, she did do better. Her job of cleaning the toilets helped her help provide for her siblings and her adopted mom. Eventually, she was able to go off to school and eventually go off to a measure of college in equivalence to what was happening during that time. An opportunity came for her to apply for an airline stewardess, and she just went for it. You know, she's from a refugee camp, and she was washing toilets, going to school, but she persevered. She saw the obstacles. She didn't deny the obstacles, but she persevered. She got the job as a flight attendant for Emirates. Now, that's a plush airline. And she said that she just felt like she had arrived. She was traveling the world and she was doing wonderful things until 2005. One of her flights had a layover and a few days over, and she went to Dhaka, Bangladesh. And she said she thought she knew what poverty was until she saw that country. And she said it moved her so much that she made a promise to 110 families that she was going to help them beat poverty by education. And the same way she felt the drive to persevere, that you can do anything if you just do one thing at a time, she wanted to inspire that with them. So she decides that she's going to start searching the internet on how she can get grants and get help and this and that, and she could find nothing. And she said she was looking on the internet and something, and it was talking about do something crazy. And then the caption said, climb Mount Everest. That's an idea. So she said, okay, let me do that. Has she ever done it before? No. She was cleaning toilets, remember? And then she was an airline stewardess. She said the farthest she did as athletics is go from one cabin to another and give beverages. She said that was the extent of her ability to do exercise. But she did Everest and had a fall, and she destroyed her cartilage. And they told her that she would never be able to do athletics again or any type of athletic again. Well, perseverance. She said after 4 years, she was able to do a marathon, one marathon in 7 days. And then she did an iron marathon, one iron marathon every 7 days. From a woman who was told that she would never do any type of thing athletic. You talk about obstacles? Yeah. She went on because of what she was doing. She went on to run. She did the Ironman. She swam the English Channel. She did Mount Everest. She did so many other types of things that she got 10 Guinness World Records. She is now the holder of 10 Guinness World Records. Subsequently, it has brought the 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 influence that she needed to help those families. And now, as of 2005 till now, she has helped over 600 children in educational um, and learning education and going to school. And she has helped them go to Europe and to America and study doctorate and lawyers. And yeah, the little refugee adopted abandoned girl. She is 5'4" and she's 45 now. She has done things that even her physical physique could not even measure up to. But she's done all of these things to the world to do Guinness Book of Records holder because she persevered. And this was a question she said, and I want to put that to you before we close. She said, how far? Because someone asked her, Maria, what is the hardest thing that you've ever done? She said, the hardest thing I ever done was to find out how far I needed to go to keep a promise. She said, how far I needed to go to keep a promise is what was the hardest thing for me to do once I found out I needed to do it. My question to you, how far will you go to keep your promise to yourself, to fulfill a desire that you have, to do something astronomically impossible by all measures? You have the same thing I have, and I have the same thing you have, that Maria has, that every other country has, every other person on the planet has. We have the ability to persevere because God gave it to us. All we have to do is cultivate it. She had no education. She had no form of anything. She cleaned toilets. but she had a desire. She took that desire and she did what she needed to do. Try to swim the English Channel? Oh my goodness, really? A Ironman marathon? 7 of them in 7 days? Who does that? Someone who knows that procrastination is a thief of time and I can do anything. Just like that dog looking up at that squirrel 3 months later. He knew he was going to get that squirrel. And I don't know what the end of the story was, but I'd imagine he did because you can. Let's believe today that you can do something different. Do one thing. Just do one thing different than what you've done. And you've already started the bad habit off and doing a new habit. Just by default, doing something different once a day will take the habits that are bad or unfruitful or unproductive and you can turn it around. I want to pray with you. And I want to say, listen, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Let me pray with you. Father, in the name of Jesus, look upon everyone at the sound of my voice. Give them encouragement. Help them to see that procrastination is a thief of time. Give them your grace and your stamina. And the same way you use Maria, the same way you're using other people around the world, even my viewers, they have gifts and dreams you've given them. Cause them to amount to great things. This I pray in the name of Jesus.